Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of What If Sonic Died. This is a What If series where we explore how the events of the main Sonic games could have been changed if it was Sonic who took the fall during the ending of Sonic Adventure 2 instead of Shadow the Hedgehog. Last time we saw the aftermath of the Sonic Heroes event in which Shadow found a busted up Metal Sonic, brought him to Tails and had him repaired. But the robot is missing all memories of past events, and as such, Shadow's decided to see if it's worth the time to train up Metal to be a defender of Earth. And just as we left off, Amy was in hot pursuit of the two of them, mistaking it as another attack by Dr. Eggman. Before we continue though, please, if you've been enjoying this series, leave me a like and subscribe, so that you can keep up to date with my works. And if you'd like to help me out, please share this video around to those you think may be interested. Okay, let's see how this chase plays out. The streets of Central City are alive and well, with its denizens getting about their regular busy days. Cars are bustling, markets are selling, and people are relaxing in the nice warm day. However, all of this is about to change, as running through a horde of pedestrians is the blue Metal Sonic, without his jets, relying on the old-fashioned school of momentum, being chased by the enraged pink menace of Amy Rose, who's seen her old rival appear out of the blue and decided to take matters into her own hands. All the while, Shadow observes from behind as the chase unfolds. Metal is running past all of the people as they start calling out, "Hey, what's going on? Oh, it's a robot!" and clear the way as fast as they can on his way out. Shadow takes the opportunity to teleport beside Metal Sonic. "This will be a very interesting test of your skills. Let's see how well you fare against an opponent that really wants to do some damage. Do not fight back. Only evade." And then he teleports away. With Shadow gone, Metal Sonic resumes, but realizes that he can't continue. In front of him is a busy road, with cars zipping by too fast to risk it. But the hesitation was enough for Amy to catch up to Metal Sonic, and she swings a heavy blow with her Pico Pico hammer into his side, knocking him away against the wall. His metallic frame thuds against the stone and bounces back to his feet, but before he's properly re-engaged his sensors, Amy's right in front of him, spinning her hammer around her body to smash against Metal Sonic again. He blocks the blow barely, still taking the blunt of the force as it shunts him back a little bit closer to that wall. She then, with the same action, lets her hammer rest against the ground and unleashes a powerful jab into the core of Metal Sonic, and this properly thuds him against the wall once again. Using her free hand, she delivers a right hook across his face, and then she elbows him back into the wall, pinballing him against it as if this was a pinball party. She then shoves Metal Sonic into the wall and picks up her hammer to bring it down above his head. But at this point, Metal Sonic instinctively raises his arms around his body, and a strange black dome of power appears around him, bouncing her hammer off with such force that she's left momentarily stunned by the sudden shield. Metal Sonic takes this opening as the chance he needs to run past her back into freedom, this time diving into what seems to be an open market, filled with people selling their wares, meats, foods, and other such items. "Get back here!" Amy cries out as she leaps from table to table with immense agility and tosses her Pico Pico hammer like a boomerang. It collides into the back of Metal Sonic's head, disrupting his sensors enough to cause him to crash into a collection of wooden crates with fresh apples within, spilling their contents onto the surface of the marketplace to the sheer agony of the hand-picking farmer who was trying to make a living. Meanwhile, Metal Sonic's footing becomes far looser as he starts slipping and sliding on the rolling objects, causing him to slow down considerably. Meanwhile, Amy still takes advantage of her agility, hopping from table to table, until she hops onto a bin, which she kicks the lid off, spinning it like a disc into Metal Sonic, crashing once again into his head, throwing him off balance completely. And with that, Amy's able to land right beside him to continue her assault. But not wishing to relive his pinball experience, Metal Sonic dives to the side and lands on a handrail that leads down a set of stairs, grinding upon them with great speed. Amy frowns seeing him get away, but sees a way of cutting him off, and she jumps up into the air and holds out her hammer, which she recalls with her unique powers, and uses it as a sort of improv vault, spinning around the bar of a sign, letting go and launching herself through the air. She lands with a thud, hammer dropping in front of where Metal Sonic exits the rail, causing a shockwave of pink hearts and energy to push Metal Sonic back into an alley. The robot looks around, realizing the only way out is besides Amy, who is clearly not going to let him escape. So, in a desperate maneuver to complete his objective of only evading, he turns to face the walls and starts clawing at them, trying to climb up, to little effect. Amy slings her hammer over her shoulder and taunts him. "It's over, Metal. I've grown a lot since last time." As she's drawn in, Metal Sonic looks at her one more time, and her comment provokes a memory to flash before him for just a moment, some old data temporarily restored, and within that glimpse, it's enough to remind him of how fast he can truly go. With the whirling engine of a turbine, Metal Sonic's core comes to life, igniting with a jet engine that sends him soaring upwards past these walls into the sky. Amy's face reflexes in surprise for a moment, but she quickly reacts. Leaping off with great speed like a wall jump from side to side, she ascends this narrow alleyway to catch up to Metal Sonic, lifting her arm out with her hammer extended and swinging, barely clipping the ending of his feet, but it's enough to send him tumbling back down towards the ground with a fast crash, impacting onto a highway, whilst Amy descends her own fall by sliding down the surface of a nearby building. Metal Sonic is still intact, though a bit stunned, as he picks himself back up from his collision. However, the lorry driver on the highway was far less prepared for a robot crashing in front of him. Honking his horn to little avail and slamming on his handbrake, the driver desperately attempted to avoid a head-on collision, and as a result, the weight of his vehicle has been sent completely off balance. Skidding to the side in a way that only preludes to a big accident, it starts tipping over its axis point, and some ropes keeping the cargo in place begin to snap off with the pressure, sending a deluge of construction equipment and materials clamoring all across the road, endangering every other motorist in the area. Troublemaker. Shadow jumps off from the building he was observing the action and teleports straight to the road, homing attacking each piece of construction material to send it onto a non-hazardous course. But this won't suit everything. One family in their car is about to be skewered head-on by an iron beam, so Shadow hops onto the bonnet and uses his chaos powers to emit a pulse of energy to completely disintegrate the metallic structure. The drivers are stunned, unable to react to their fastly evolving situation. So then Shadow leaps in front of the car and uses his immense strength to slow it to a halt safely. Throwing a couple Chaos Spears at the last remaining objects, Shadow manages to neutralize the threat, if at the cost of great property damage. The motorists all reside stunned in their vehicles, mouths agape, as their lives really did flash before their eyes, but no one was hurt. Shadow approaches Metal Sonic, who's picked himself off the floor. Meanwhile, Amy is running over, slightly out of breath, but still with a fire in her eye. Shadow holds out his hands to both of them. "That's enough!" Amy is confused. "What are you talking about? We need to stop him." "Just take a look at yourself, Amy. Look around you. You're causing more damage than he is." "But he's not a problem." Amy, confused, frustrated, and tired, is forced to accept what's being said as she sees the clear damage around her, breathing heavily. Shadow frowns. "Let's take this somewhere a bit more private." He grabs both of their arms and warps them onto a street-level store that's been closed down, abandoned, most suitable for their conversation. Shadow folds his arms. "I think you've got some explaining to do." "Me? What about you? You seem to be in leagues with Metal Sonic." "That's partially true, but this isn't the machine you remember." He looks to Metal Sonic. "Metal, this is Amy Rose." "You can't be serious. This robot kidnapped me. He's evil. He works for Eggman. He wants to She chokes on her sentence. "He's a bad guy." Shadow cocks an eyebrow at her. "Weren't you the one who told me everyone deserves a chance at happiness?" "I didn't mean that." Amy slumps against the wall to sit on the floor and sighs. "I'm sorry, I've been a little high-strung lately." Shadow observes Amy and asks, "Why were you looking for a fight anyway? What's going on around here?" Amy's eyes linger at her feet on the floor, but she does respond, "Ever since what happened on the Ark, well, I've been struggling with what to do with myself for a long time. I've been thinking about that. I've not really been myself. But," and her eyes flick up towards Shadow, "I've found a new resolve. I understand that I need to look after myself. And moreover, I don't want anyone to have to suffer through the heartbreak I did if it can be avoided." She stands up, confidence in her eyes once more. "I dedicated myself to bettering the lives of those around me. I've decided I'm going to stand up for everyone and protect them from those that would do them harm." "And how might you do that?" "I've been training myself up with boxercising, keeping me fit and strong." And she subconsciously puffs her chest out a bit in confidence as she goes on. "I've been helping people, cleaning up the streets of crime. I'm even teaching some kids how to defend themselves." "Sounds like you've gotten busy." "You don't know the half of it. I'm following the lead of my hero. That inspiration's something that nothing can put out for long." The weight of the situation dawns upon Amy once again though, and she looks slightly more inquisitively towards Shadow as she asks, "So what are you doing here? I haven't seen you since, well, then." "Metal and I are here on an errand for Tails. Had something you wanted picked up from the city." "Tails? How's he been doing?" "I thought you would have inquired yourself by now." "Like I said, I haven't really been feeling myself until recently." She looks a little disappointed in herself. "I guess I really should have checked in with Tails at some point in all this time." "But what about him? Why are you here with Metal Sonic?" "Considering his condition, I'm seeing if Metal Sonic can be trained up to a point in which he's useful to me in defending the Earth. I would need someone else to help me cover the vast amount of land, and we all know he's got plenty of abilities suited for such an effort. And if that sort of thing gets in the way of your idea of justice, just consider it community service for everything Metal has done in the past." Amy thinks on this and moves her head a little bit closer. "So, you're saying that you're going to be teaching him how to be a good guy?" "If that's how you want to see it, fine." And how long's this been going on exactly?" Shadow looks at Metal Sonic. "Today would be the first day, and an eventful one at that." Amy closes her eyes, holds out a finger and nods confidently. I see. Well, Shadow, I'd have to say you've done a good job at bringing him to me, but I'll take it over from here." What? What are you talking about?" "It was very ambitious of you to train Metal up into a good guy and all, but you're really not suited for the role." "What are you trying to say?" Shadow folds his arms grumpily. "You're just gonna fill his head with brooding and moping and staring. If he really is low on memories, he needs to learn a little bit more than just how to be aggressive all the time." "You don't know a thing about me." "You sure? You seem to think otherwise back on the Ark." "I have other things to do." Shadow begins to look out the window. "Metal, stick with Amy until I get back, and try not to break anything this time." And with that, Shadow teleports outside and begins walking towards his objective. Amy giggles to herself. "He likes to act all tough all the time, but he's really a big softy on the inside. I can read him like a book." And then she turns to face Metal, which she shares the room with now. "Hi there! Sorry about our introduction last time. I mistook you for someone else, kind of. My name is Amy Rose. Pleasure to make your acquaintance." Metal Sonic just stands there idly. Amy goes to grab Metal Sonic's hand, but hesitates temporarily. She thinks to herself, "No, I can't blame him for what was done in the past. I need to give this new Metal a chance." And then she goes through with it, grabbing his metal claw into her hand and holding it enthusiastically. "Since you're new here, I should show you around the town. Come on, it'll be fun." As she leads him out the door like one would do with a child, holding his hand as they go down the streets of Central City. All the while, Shadow exits a department store after collecting Tails' package. "Thanks for the business," as a door slams behind him on his way out. He walks down the street in contemplation. This just got a whole lot more complicated. How am I going to tell Amy about Sonic? The little I've seen of their relationship is enough to tell me that she's going to be quite touchy about it. But it's not as simple as that. Sonic's around, but he's not the same. Maybe I just don't need to bring this up. What are the chances that she's going to find out anyway? His thoughts are interrupted as a gust of wind washes over his face. He raises his eyes up to see Sonic the Hedgehog stood in front of him. Hey Shadow, how you doing? Long time no see. Sonic, of all the places. Sonic stood with a brown sack over his shoulder, heavy and jingling with the slightest of movement. He also seems to be slightly covered in dust and dirt. What's going on? Me and the guys are just running around at the speed of sound and... oh, actually, I can't stay and talk. I'm kind of in a hurry. I'll see you around, Shadow. And Sonic boosts off with the sack trailing behind him. Shadow crosses his arms and wonders if this is related to the crime Amy was talking about before. And decides he's going to need to find out. And the one person who probably knows what Sonic's up to right now is Rouge. Being as fast as Sonic is, Shadow tracks the blue blur down to a seedy area of the city. Neon light signs and cloaked individuals populate these clamped up streets, and there seems to be a significant lack of authority in this area. He walks through undeterred by this environment as he looks for the sign of this Club Rouge he's heard about in Central City. Eventually he finds it, as clear as day, a stylized bat leaning over the title of the building, flashing on a billboard. As Shadow walks through, numerous shady eyes turn towards him, and whispers start spreading as he makes his way through. Hey, that's Shadow the Hedgehog. Isn't he the guy that saved the world? Isn't he incredibly dangerous? Maybe he's here for business. Shadow ignores all of this and walks up to the nearest counter. Hey, I'm looking for Rouge the Bat. The woman behind the counter glints at him. I don't recognize you from anywhere before. I don't think you're ready to meet Miss Rouge just yet. I'm not asking. Where is Rouge the Bat? A bead of sweat trails down her face as she goes to reach for the panic button, but before she can, she receives orders through her teleprompter. Oh, my apologies. The mistress has contacted me. I didn't realize you are our ultimate guest. Shadow can't help but think how cheeky that is to himself. She'll be waiting for you right down there, sir. Shadow leaves the counter and heads towards the door in the corner, unilluminated unlike the rest of the area. He walks in to find Rouge behind a desk on a very comfy chair, lying with her legs over the handle, looking lazily at his direction. My, not even a knock on your way in. I guess we are that well acquainted. Cut the act, Rouge. I'm not here to play around. When are you ever? She sits up properly and places her elbows on the desk. Business then? What's it you've been getting Sonic up to, Rouge? What do you mean? Sonic isn't here. Don't play coy with me. I saw him carrying something suspicious a moment ago. Oh, Sonic's just helping me out with my work is all. And what work would that be? More government spy nonsense? Somehow, and he looks around, I doubt it. Look, I'm not forcing Sonic to do anything. But you know that that's not how this... She puts a hand up in front of him. Cool down, Shadow. Wouldn't want you blowing anything up in here. Look. She waves a strange dossier in front of him. What's that? With a smile, she responds, this is just some information of Dr. Eggman, in fact. Why would I care about what that fool's doing? She tosses the document across the desk towards him. Take a look. I have a feeling it would change your mind. Looking at the first page inside, Shadow's eyes widen for a moment. The Eclipse Cannon. This document's about the Ark. Why are you showing me this? It seems that our old friend's been making moves to repair the thing. I guess he's getting a little bit nostalgic from our last adventure. Shadow is annoyed. But he also knows that he can't ignore this. He picks up the dossier. One day, Rouge, this will come back to you. She gives him a full smile. But not today, right? Shadow turns away with the dossier in hand and leaves Club Rouge. He's going to need some time to pour through the contents. And it looks like he's going to have plenty of time to do that because this brings us to the end of today's episode. Things are starting to heat up around here. What on earth could Eggman be planning with the Eclipse cannon on the Space Colony Ark? And how is Amy's eventual confrontation with Sonic going to play out? And what's Rouge's angle? These and more are things to be discovered as we continue on with this series. But until then, I hope you've been enjoying the ride so far, and if you have, please leave a comment, like and subscribe so that I know your thoughts on the matter. And if you'd like to help me out, don't forget to share the video around with those who may be interested. With that all said and done though, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.